Good morning, it's Monday, November the 23rd. Top story for you this morning. Gyms and non-essential shops are expected to be allowed to reopen in all parts of England when lockdown ends next week, even those facing the highest tier of coronavirus restrictions.
Now, pub closing times will also be relaxed, and there are indications that limited family gatherings will be allowed across the UK over Christmas, as our political correspondent Vicky Young reports. Who is definitely here this morning for us.
Just check, she's there.
Carol. Morning to you, Carol. It was chilly this morning.
Absolutely.
Carol, see you then. So the next few days as well, it's a bit chilly in places this morning, Carol.
Carol, thanks very much indeed. Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Dan Walker and Sally Nugent.
Headlines for you at 7 o'clock. Good morning, it's Monday, it's November the 23rd, and gyms and non-essential shops are expected to be allowed to reopen in all parts of England when the lockdown ends next week, even those facing the highest tier of coronavirus restrictions.
Pub closing times will also be relaxed, and there are indications that limited family gatherings will be allowed across the whole of the UK over Christmas, as our political correspondent Vicky Young reports. Now, talks are ongoing between the four nations of the UK about taking a standard approach to restrictions over the Christmas period.
Parts of West and Central Scotland are already in the country's highest level of restrictions. That's until December the 11th. Northern Ireland is facing another 2 weeks of lockdown from this Friday, having just reopened some services. And the tightest level of restrictions in Wales were eased 2 weeks ago.
Well, let's get more on all of this now. It is 8 minutes past 7. Let's go straight to Carol, who has news of, I think, chilliness all around this morning.
Thank you very much for that, Carol. We'll see you a bit later on this morning.
Now, as we've been hearing, gyms are expected to get the green light to reopen across England after the lockdown ends on December the 2nd. But the situation facing pubs, bars and restaurants is not quite so positive.
Let's get a bit more reaction from two leaders in those sectors.
Happening very quickly.
OK, busy old morning this morning. Lots happening for you. Carol has got the weather for us, a little bit later than normal. Sorry about that, Carol. How are you getting on?
I'm nearly going away with it.
Thank you, Carol.
Sorry.
We're easily confused.
I know, very confusing.
Yeah.
On the programme. So why 16 today? Is it just impossible to narrow it down from there?
Susie, out of the 16.
Well,
I know you're very keen on the use of social media, and you use that to throw out some lesser-known words as well. And it's also fascinating too, isn't it, to see the way that social media sort of combines some of these and brings about a little bit of magic and as you say, a lightness of touch when it's needed, when it's been a pretty difficult year for all of us.
yeah.
It is great to see you this morning. Thank you for explaining all of that. I think that's a great one, Rona.
Rona, yeah.
Yeah, the Rona, I've heard as well.
Thank you, Susie.
Yes.
Lovely to talk to you.
Love.
Got that for us. Good. Oh, look at the frosty beautifulness this morning, Carol.
Isn't it lovely?
Well done, Carol. Thank you.
Hey.
Carol.
Good morning.
Maybe. Thank you very much for covering all your bases there, Carol.
She's not promising a 12, maybe a 12.
Well, it's borderline.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Morning.
Thanks very much
Morning,
indeed
morning.
for coming on Breakfast this morning. At what point did you realise your story was going to become a film? That decision did not go down well with your own family, did it?
And it's portrayed in the film as well, that sort of prejudice that you met from day one. In your long career, do you feel that did that get better over the course of your time in the Met Police? Do you think it's a very different place now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pleasure to talk to you today. I think you're going to have to get back to some of those messages that keep pinging away on your machine there, Leroy.
I know, it's the worst.
There's a lot of messages and texts you need to get back to there. I'm loving the fact that people are watching you and thinking, they're probably telling you, do you know you're on telly, which you are aware of, because you know you're on telly.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah, you can see my pain, but hey.
Now
What have you been showing?
Do you know what? I've been watching you watch that, and I thought, can you see what we just played? We've been showing you career highlights. You've just been staring. And I thought, he doesn't think this is funny. We've picked some terrible bits. Morning, Robert.
This
When was the last time you were on stage?
Plug for that as well. I wondered at what point during, you know, the whole sort of lockdown process, and I don't know what you're like, but you sort of lost sense of time over the last few months. Did you think, I'm going to have to be involved in this, sort of helping out others in the industry because it's going to be so badly hit?
I think incredibly excited to get back on stage with Anything Goes, but it is not like a simple two-hander of a play, is it? This is a stage musical with tap dancing, singing, you name it. How on earth are you going to prepare for that?
Well, not necessarily in the right order.
Oh, well done. Lovely quote from the greats.
Thank you. No, I
Did you actually say yes before you even knew what the production was because you were so desperate to do something?
Literally like that. I mean, I've done a few recordings.
21. How optimistic are you that things are going to get better? Obviously, you have Anything Goes on the horizon, which is brilliant to look forward to. How optimistic are you about theatre?
Declare that news.
Jolly good. Well,
perspective, you can hear from what you're saying to us this morning. You're desperate, you know, to get back on that stage, to look out from that stage, wherever that might be, and see, you know, a full audience able to enjoy themselves, able to sit next to each other. A huge slice of you know, the sort of life that we have all taken for granted, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's great to see you this morning, and lovely to end on that optimistic note. It's coming back.
It's coming back.
Thank you very much. And Anything Goes with Robert is due to open at London's Barbican Theatre, and that's in May next year.
That is all from us on Breakfast Today. We're back at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Now it's time for Morning Live with Kim and Gethin.